All right, so we're on the record in docket 24000387, docket 23033530, docket 24020037, and docket 2402002037, and then 24022746. Will the parties please introduce themselves for the record? Mrs. Fizell.
Gabrielle Lizelle, Assistant Prosecutor for the people.
Ms. Robinson.
Aaron Robinson, Assistant Public Defender for Mr. Lavoie.
And sir, you are Christopher Lavoie, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And you can hear me all right, Mr. Lavoie?
Yes.
All right, thank you. This is the time set for a competency hearing on these four files. Mrs. L, you're in possession of the report that was done?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, and Ms. Robinson, you've seen that report?
I have.
And correct me, you're kind of on this case on some cases, or
No, I am on all files
All
now.
five files?
Well,
Okay.
all except the misdemeanor files.
All right.
So all the felony files,
All right.
I am back on. We've refiled our appearance on.
All right, perfect. All right, so how are we proceeding, Mrs. L?
Your Honor, it's my understanding that the defense is going to be stipulating to the findings in the report, as well the state, and we will be setting for a preliminary exam on all files.
Okay, setting for prelim. And we've already started set prelim on some files, but we'll put them all together. And do you want to set for prelim or PCC first?
I think we can set it for a PCC date.
Okay.
I have a feeling that we're probably not going to be running the prelims.
All right,
So I think we can probably just set it for a PCC.
let's set it for PCC on all the files, and then we can set it for the prelim the next date. But then we have everything together and we know where we stand. Because if I remember correctly, we started one and another, we ran them together, and then we had some forensic issues. All right, so let's so we step to the report, and that is the report, so that everybody's working from the same document on case 2407. It's case 1020332, and that is a report done by Dana Corwick, indicating that the defendant at this time is found competent. We'll step to that report. I'll sign the order to that effect, and we'll set it for PCC. All right, so I'll sign it on 2402-746. 1725, and we'll set for PCC on
January 30th at 10.
January 30th at 10. And I've signed it for that file. And then on docket 2402-037, similarly, I will sign the document indicating that the stipulation to the report finds the defendant competent to stand trial, and we'll set it for prelim on that same date.
Prelim or PCC?
PCC, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
And that is set for
January 30th at 10.
at 10. Set for PCC. Skip to report. All right, and then similarly on docket 2403-03530, I'll indicate for today's date that we had the forensic review, and similarly, we're stepping to the report. Is that a fair statement?
Yes.
So step to report. The order is going to be signed. Finding competence. And then we'll set for PCC for January, was it 30th?
30th at 10.
finally, similarly, on docket 23-00387. Once again, we'll step to the report. And we'll sign the documentation accordingly. And we'll set PCC for January 30th at 10.
Yep.
And then should I set the misdemeanor pretrials after that date? So I have a misdemeanor unlawful use that was to be set after the competency hearing. So that's an ordinance matter. How about this one is a state matter? This is another misdemeanor ticket. We'll set it for pretrial after that date. And then this one is a dog matter, and we'll set it for pretrial after that date. All right. So we'll work on those. All right. So I have signed the order finding finding competence in this matter. We've set it for January 30th at 10 o'clock. On all 4 files set for today. Anything else for the record in docket 23-00387, 23-03530, 24-02037, or 24-02746? Mrs. L.
Not for the people.
Ms. Robinson.
No, Your Honor, thank you.
All right, so Mr. Lavoy, we'll see you on that January 30th date at 10 o'clock. All right, sir?
All right, thank you.
You're all set. Thank you for your appearance today. And then let's go on Mr. Barham.
Yes, Your Honor.
That's Mr. Shepherd's case.
Yes.
All right, so we're on the record in docket 24-02611. That is People of the State of Michigan versus Philip Barham. Will the parties please introduce themselves for the record? Ms. Wilson.
Abigail Wilson for the people.
Mr. Shepherd.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Eric Shepard here on behalf of Philip Barham. We're both in person in the courtroom, and Mr. Barham is standing to my right.
And sir, you are Philip Barham, is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. This is the time set for preliminary examination today. Ms. Wilson, how are we proceeding?
Thank you, Your Honor. At this point, the people are requesting that this file be dismissed without prejudice. The reason being that there's further investigation that people are seeking before pursuing these charges. I did let Mr. Shepherd know late this afternoon when our office made this decision, and I did indicate to him that should charges be reissued, they'd be reissued on a summons, which would be sent over to Mr. Barham at his last known address. And I will also give Mr. Shepherd a heads up.
All right. And that's your understanding, Mr. Shepherd, that if it's dismissed and if it's reissued, you'll get a heads up, and it will be a summons complaint. This is based on your motion, so we will do the nollie pros and have the assistant prosecutor sign the nollie pros, and we'll print it out. Mr. Barham, this means the case is dismissed without prejudice, which means, as you've heard us speak, people could reissue if they choose to. There's going to be some more investigation done. Ms. Wilson will be in contact with Mr. Shepherd if that's the case. All right. And then based on the representations of Ms. Wilson, I'm going to sign the document that dismisses without prejudice. All right, sir.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, so thank you, Megan. I'm in possession of the dismissal without prejudice concerning docket 24-02611, signed by Ms. Wilson. I will sign it accordingly. Anything else for the record in 24-02611, Ms. Wilson?
Not on behalf of the people.
Mr. Shepherd.
I'd like to get a copy of the nollie, Your Honor.
You'll get
other than that, nothing.
We'll give you two, one for you and one for your client. For your papers from my court officer, she'll make you a copy. You're all set, Mr. Barham. Thank you for your appearance today.
Thank you, Your Honor. Thank you, Your Honor.
And Mr. Porter. That is Ms. Schroeder.
Yes. Down over here. Here I am just throwing stuff. I know, courtroom.
And so Mr. Porter can come up. All right, so we're on the record in docket 24-03266. That is People of the State of Michigan versus Rennie Porter. Will the parties please introduce themselves for the record? Mrs. Zell
Gabrielle Zell, Assistant Prosecutor for the People.
and Ms. Schroeder.
All right, there, I'm making my way up here. Good
Okay.
afternoon, Your Honor, Assistant Public Defender Aaron Schroeder on behalf of Mr. Porter, who is present and stands to my right.
And sir, you are Rennie Porter, is that correct? All right, thank you. This is the time set for preliminary examination today. Ms. Zell, how are we proceeding?
Your Honor, it is the state's position that we would like to run this exam today and put on proof.
Okay. So we'll be holding the exam. That's your understanding, Ms. Schroeder?
That is our understanding, Your Honor. Yes.
All right.
That's-
And so is there any preliminary matters to come to the court's attention before we get started, Mrs. Zell?
There is, Your Honor. One of the witnesses in this case was granted an immunity petition. Mr. Doyle is here to represent that witness on the subject of that petition. It is my understanding that Mr. Doyle has had the opportunity to talk to this witness about his rights and is here to help protect those rights.
All right, so what witnesses do you intend on calling and which one has Mr. Doyle on?
We intend to call Mr. Daniel Lang, and that is Mr. Lang is the person who has the immunity petition. And then we plan to call Officer Mosby.
All right, and will your first witness be Mr. Lang?
It will be, Your
All
Honor.
right. Mr. Doyle, you can come up here and we'll put it on the record. So, Mr. Doyle, you've been a conflict counsel and appointed to represent Mr. Lang. Is that correct?
That is correct, Your Honor.
All right. And you've had the opportunity, so please state and spell your first name and last name for the record.
Yes, Your Honor, that's Dan Doyle, DanDoyle, T73181.
All right. And you were appointed to represent Mr. Lang. Is that correct?
That is correct.
All right. And you've had the opportunity to talk to Mr. Lang about it. And Mr. Lang, I think, is the subject of the immunity motion that was indicated and signed.
Correct, Your Honor.
All right. You've had the opportunity to talk to Mr. Lang about the immunity petition and any of his Fifth Amendment rights that may be problematic in this case.
Yes, I have, Your Honor.
All right. Okay. With that understanding, anything for the record concerning that preliminary matter, Ms. Schroeder?
Not with regard to the witness who has immunity. No.
All right. Okay. All right. So, Ms. Schroeder, is there anything preliminary matter that you'd like to bring to the court's attention before we get started?
I would just ask, Your Honor, that there be a sequestration order granted in this matter. There are, I know we are only calling two individuals, I beg your pardon, two individuals today, but there are several individuals named as witnesses on the felony complaint.
All right. So I don't know what so if you see anybody in the courtroom or anybody coming in that you believe that I should invoke the order, the sequestration order, I'll leave it to counsel to let the court know to invoke the order, because somebody might come in and I don't know if they're here just to here as part of the proofs or here as a part of a witness, but no witness should be watching another witness testify. With that understanding, also, we are live streaming this. Do you have a preference as to whether we continue live streaming or whether we turn the live stream off?
Honestly, Your Honor, I just was thinking of that. My preference would be to turn the live stream off.
I have no preference, Mrs. L.
I have no objection with turning off the live stream.
All right, so I'm gonna